Hey everyone, so I wanted to make a quick tutorial that shows you the kind of like the strategy behind how you can advance with alchemy, how you can find new recipes, how you can try to improve your own recipes. So alchemy is a lot simpler than it seems, and to get started you're going to need an alembic. The crafting recipes are in the recipe dev post, and they're also on the gameplay info channel. It's really simple. You just place them down. It comes up like this. Every alembic has two main inventory slots. It has the 3 on the side for shaman sap and the 15 in the center for your ingredients. To get the alembics to work, you need to fuel them with coal, and then you also need water bottles in the top up here. So alchemy runs on an aspect system kind of like Thaumcraft if you played with it at all. Essentially, every item in the world is going to have usually 3 different aspects on it, and in varying amounts. There are 10 aspect types in the game: life, death, earth, air, fire, mechanic, corrupt, arcane, psionic, and divine. These are some items that are very close to the aspects, and usually you can tell by their descriptions. Ironbark armor is very hard armor made of literal wood, and thus it's an earth-based item. The spider silk is lighter than air. Oh, this is the wrong one. I updated the descriptions today. Spider silk is lighter than air. Alright, it's an air-based item. The Magma Core is the core of a elemental lava creature. It's a fire item. It's usually not too hard to tell what the primary aspect is on an item, and sometimes you can tell what the secondary aspect is on an item, but not always. Sometimes it gets a little more difficult. So I'm going to show you how I would, as a player, go about trying to discover new stuff with brewing. So over here I have the Health 2 Splash recipe as posted on the subreddit. We have Shaman Sap, we have Lifeless Ash. That doesn't sound like it's that good for a health potion, but we'll see. We have Empress Stone, Mauve Scrap Metal, and then a couple of other items. Right. We're going to put them in, and we're just going to run off the basic recipe here. So if I put this in, I'm going to start it up. It usually takes a while. I have a secret admin tool that'll make this video go a lot faster. That'll be done in 1 minute. We're going to also try to experiment with our own recipe here. So what we're going to do, let's say that I don't have a lot of feverfew, right? We see health potion. There's a lot of life-based items. We have feverfew. We have living wood. We have a repair kit, which maybe has life. We're not really sure. We have the Empress Stone, which are apparently life-giving stones. So we see lots of life-based items in our health potion recipe. So it's a pretty good guess that we need life items in our health potion recipe. But let's say we don't have access to feverfew. All right, we need to get a different item. So we could look around at our different items, right? We have tomes of healing we could use. We could have heal root we can use. Let's try to use some heal root. So we're going to overshoot. The feverfew is an uncommon resource, and heal root is an uncommon resource. The way the resources work is that the higher tier of resources have more aspect points in them. So the uncommon resources are usually worth like 3 to 6 of a common resource in total. You have to keep in mind that just because it has more points doesn't mean it has more of what you want. Like if you're using like a steamwork component, that sounds like it might have some air and some mechanic themes because it's steam and it's a component. It comes from the clockwork mobs. But you can't always swap it out directly with another air item because, like I said, it's probably got mechanic in it. And maybe you don't want that mechanic, or maybe a different item has more. You could have a common item that could be 8 points of air, and then that wouldn't work very well. So you have to usually overshoot. So what we're going to do, we're replacing the 3 feverfew that I left in here with 4 heal root, and we're going to put it in this alembic over here. We're going to try to use heal root instead of feverfew for a health potion recipe. I forgot to put water bottles in. Don't even know how to use my own plugins. Alright. So what I probably should have done, I'm realizing my mistake. It's possible this won't work because I didn't put in any extra shaman sap. So we'll see if it works without the extra shaman sap. But if it doesn't, we're going to try the same thing with extra shaman sap. You should always do extra shaman sap shaman sap when you put in new ingredients, because whenever you put in more ingredients, chances are you have to use extra sap to make up for whatever you were missing. Like, whatever you have extra. Sorry, not missing. Saw a recipe earlier. That was the sample recipe. It worked just fine. So we're going to see if this other one works. But just in case it doesn't, I'm going to try the same thing as before. And we're going to use extra shaman sap. So I'm going to grab another, like, 4 sap. Really shouldn't use 4. We're going to try 2. Because the way the sap works is the sap covers 10 points if that aspect isn't in the recipe. So, like, death. If you have death in your health potions, alright, shaman sap is only going to cover 10 points of death. Because it's a pretty good guess that you don't need death in your health potions. If it's extra life points in your health potion recipe, the shaman sap will cover up to 20. Now, you don't know exactly how much life is in your items, but if you have an uncommon item, it's a good indication that probably, at most, you have 20 to 30 points of stuff in it, and it's going to be a mix between, like, heal root probably has a lot of life, and, you know, it's a plant, so maybe it's got, like, some earth or something else. We don't really know exactly. So let's see if these worked. That did work. So I guess I had enough shaman sap in there already, but usually you should put in extra. So we've made some potions. We figured out that we can swap out 3 feverfew for 4 heal root in the health potion recipe, and that it worked. Alright, maybe we want to try something else. Maybe we want to get rid of these Empress Stones. Alright, so good guess, Empress Stone comes from the fire mobs, has life in it, probably has life and fire. So we need to replace it with stuff that has life and fire. So let's see, what do we have that has life and fire? Well, we got some Tomes of Healing, so we can try some Tomes of Healing. So what I'm going to do, Tomes of Healing are worth about 50 points, probably, 50 to 60. The Empress Stones are worth about 20 to 30. So we're going to try 2 Tomes of Healing, but we're going to overshoot. So what we're going to do, we're going to do Tomes of Healing and 1 heal root. And we're going to say that that gives us our life points. And then Ember Stones probably have some fire in them. And I see some other fire items in here. We have Dying Embers, Lifeless Ash. Chances are we need to replace this with fire. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like a multi-swap. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out our Ember Stones. And we're going to use instead some fire items. Burning Pelt sounds good. Let's grab a couple of those. What else do we want? What else can I make fire with? You know, Hellhound Fangs, that sounds like it's got some fire. Tip glows like embers. Sounds like fire. So we're going to put in some fire items. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this up with some extra sap because we made a lot of changes. So I'm going to bring 15 extra sap to try to, you know, just a rough estimate of how many points I actually did extra. Bringing extra sap will help us deal with any extra aspects that were unwanted that we bring into our recipe. So we're going to put in 15 extra sap. You know what, just in case my math is really bad, we're going to do 20 because I'm bad at math. Alright, shove our items in here. The original amount of sap needed for the sample recipe and all our items. So what we're doing is I took out Ember Stones, and that could be really good if I don't have access to like an uncommon item. Like let's say I had to trade for these fire items across the map and I didn't have extra Ember Stones left, but I still wanted to brew health potions. I could probably still brew health potions. So I need water bottles. We're going to put in water bottles here. We're going to start it up. You can do the same thing with basically any other recipe, alright? You can swap it. The swapping out items works just like that. It's very much like Thaumcraft, except you don't actually get to see the Thaumcraft tooltip where it tells you what aspects are in the item. That information is hidden from players. So this is the Speed 2 potion recipe as the sample given on the subreddit. We're going to start that up. Speed it up to 1 minute. And so we can try to do some swaps with this recipe. So let's say we want to try something other than Tongue of Dog. Alright. We can put in a different item. Tongue of Dog, it's talking about vigor, so it's a good guess that it's using life. So let's grab some life items, and let's try, we're going to overshoot. Probably don't even need to overshoot that much. We're going to try swapping out for the Living Wood. Tongue of Dog is a fighter item. We're going to try swapping out for Living Wood in this speed potion recipe. And we are going to grab some extra Shaman Sap to make up for any extra aspects that we probably used. We're going to pop that in there, and we're going to try to make it without Tongue of Dog, because Tongue of Dog is a fire item. Like, it comes from the fire mobs. And none of these are fire items. So now we've created a recipe that can be made without having to travel to the fire side of the map for speed potions. So we are going to... It worked. The one we just did worked. So we're going to take those speed potions out, and we're going to try to make it without the fire items. So we're going to put this in there. And it's pretty likely that there wasn't even any fire needed in the recipe in the first place, because Tongue of Dog, despite dropping from the Ember Wolf, doesn't really seem like it's a fire item. It's not talking about fire, it's not literally on fire like the Ember Pelt or the other items are, so it's a good guess that there wasn't any fire needed in this recipe. So we're going to start Alchemy here. We're going to speed it. I forgot to put in an ingredient. Okay. Sometimes that happens, you forget to put in your ingredients, so we're going to try that again. We're going to do the same thing. So that recipe probably won't work, because I forgot to put in my ingredients. But we're going to grab some Living Wood. And we're going to grab some extra Shaman Sap. We're going to try that again. There's no shame in failing at alchemy. Alright, it happens. Okay, we're going to start Alchemy again. Except there's no water bottles. I always forget my water bottles. Start Alchemy, speed it up. I didn't speed that one up either, whoops. Okay. Our previous health potion experiment worked, so we know that the Empress Stone that we swapped out earlier for the other life-themed items, it worked, and we were able to remove Empress Stone from the recipe, which might be hard to get if you're on the eastern side of the map. Sorry, western side of the map, where there's a lot of, like, there's the Elder Tribes and the mechanical mobs, but there aren't any fire mobs over there. So it'd be useful to be able to do this kind of experimentation and find out quick and easy a way to use items that you have and not use items that you don't have. It's really, the alchemy isn't actually that complicated. The potions are really cheap. There's a shitload of potion ingredients sitting in chests on this server right now. I'm actually a little concerned that the potions are too cheap and that pretty quickly people will have an ungodly amount of health potions. So what happens often, if you're missing a little bit of aspects from like a speed 2 recipe, is instead of giving you a useless potion, you'll usually get like the previous version of the potion. So if you're missing some aspects from a health splash potion, it'll typically give you a health 2 potion or a health 1 potion instead, just because those recipes were simpler and easier, and yours wasn't quite good enough to fall into the bucket of health 2 splash, but it was good enough to fall into the bucket of health 2. So you could always use these potions for normal use or PvE or whatever. And you don't need to feel too bad about your experimentation yielding absolutely zero results. So we saw earlier, we swapped out the what swap did we do? You'll have to go back and watch that, I guess. I'm pretty sure we swapped out Ember Stones for Living Wood in this. I could be wrong. It's good to write down what changes you made, because then you'll forget like me. But we took out an ingredient we didn't want from the Speed 2 recipe, which I don't even have anymore. And we made a potion with ingredients that we did have. There's a little more complicated thing that you can do, and that is you can try to use less Shaman Sap in your recipes. But that's a little like later game kind of tech, because it's a lot harder to do and it requires more experimentation, because you can't just put in more Shaman Sap and hope for the best. However, if you do start taking out ingredients or making swaps to see if these swaps enable you to take out ingredients, you'll notice that you'll be able to make cheaper potions, and cheaper potions are definitely better. Anyways, I hope this helped you guys. I hope this video wasn't too long, and this should help you figure out how to do alchemy on CivEx. Go have fun on this server.